All right, welcome back. We often talk about the strength of the consumer on this show, and one good barometer reported earnings that really weren't that great today. Now, I'm talking about McDonald's. Now, I happen to like McDonald's. Maybe you can tell. I don't know. But in the current business environment, even McDonald's is having a little bit of a hard time. They're struggling. McDonald's reported disappointing quarterly revenue today, dragged down by weaker than expected sales at its U.S. restaurants following an E. coli outbreak, right? That was just weeks into the quarter, too, so kind of clouded things going forward. Now, the burger chain's U.S. same-store sales declined as customers spent less at its restaurants. Now, even McDonald's is seeing this happen to it. McDonald's said traffic was slightly positive, but customers spent less than usual during the quarter. Now, over the summer, the chain rolled out a $5 combo meal to bring back price-conscious diners and reverse those sluggish sales. Now, the strategy largely worked, helping McDonald's use same-store sales tick up into the third quarter. However, analysts have warned that the value meals only work if customers also add menu items that aren't discounted to their orders. Is this the canary in the coal mine or just a one-off E. coli shrug? I don't know. Let's welcome in our next guest, and she'll have something to say about it, I'm sure. Please welcome in Rebecca Walser to the show. Rebecca, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me, Scott.
I'm going to do a quick rewind. We saw this happen with the Dollar General stores. If you notice, those lower retailers, they started to really report some bad earnings last year. Now, is this an E. coli thing, or is there a problem here with the high beef prices and what's happening at McDonald's and the consumer having no cash? What's going on?
Yeah, it's all a combination, as you said. And I would look at the University of Michigan's consumer sentiment, Scott, because that's really the thing that kind of barometerizes all of it together. If that's such a word, I'll make it up. And you can see that we really dropped. This is the lowest level we've been at since July of 2024. We're at 71.1, and that's a decline, Scott, from December's read of 74. So we have dropped precipitously fast. This is post-Trump election. We actually dropped from November to December and from December to January. And the biggest thing is literally consumers expecting that personal finances are going to decline and also expecting now that inflation is going to be over 4% for 2025. And I think that some consumers thought Trump will get in there and he'll fix it. And, when you've printed $20 trillion, not just the United States, but globally, when you printed the currency equivalent of $20 trillion since 2020, you're not going to just be able to just tap down inflation in, one administration's term that quickly. It's going to come, but it's got to come from other, systemic major changes. And so with McDonald's, the scary thing about McDonald's is that foot traffic is actually a little bit up, but same stores sales are down. And that is after introducing some chicken items last year in the summertime. And then you had the E. coli. So I think we have to give that time to dissipate out. But I don't think, Scott, that what we're seeing on their earnings this season right now is reflective of just the onion problem that they had. It's really indicative of the consumer realizing, yes, we are, encouraged about President Trump administration, but we still see that the individual money that we're going to have access to live in 2025 is going to be more constrained than maybe we initially thought.
Yeah, you're onto something there, I think, because I've been following it pretty closely myself. And here, M2, and the velocity of money, right? The money that's been in the system, like you just said, how much we've printed globally. There's a worrying. Look, I want Trump to succeed. I think he's got a good chance of succeeding. I just think it's going to be difficult, maybe more difficult than people think. Because if you want to go out there and use Doge, we just got done with Dan Giltry talking about Doge in the last segment.
Amen.
But if we have that Doge, and I love what they're doing, but they're taking money out of the system. I mean, that could be a problem, because if the less money that's sloshing around, in essence, we flooded the system with money, government spending money under Biden to mask over the problems. And what he basically did, I'll get to the chase, is he bought a positive GDP, right?
Yeah.
And by the way, we got ripped off because it's $5 of deficit spending for every $1 of GDP, right? It's crazy. So we got ripped off. So now if you stop the spending, what happens to GDP?
This reminds me of a classic children's game, which is, I forget, it's not Ring Around the Rosie, but it's the one that, it's Duck Duck Goose or something. It's the one that, the musical chairs. It's musical chairs. When you play musical chairs and the music stops, not every piece of GDP gets to sit back down.
Right.
In other words, if we are going to fix our spending problem, then we actually will spend less. And that means that not everyone's going to have a seat at the table. And I got to be honest. I am frankly sick and tired of every single nuanced lobbyist specialty group that gets this from Congress or that from Congress or this from USAID or whatever that now is going to get publicized. I mean, they're talking about auditing the Pentagon. Donald Rumsfeld came out on September the 10th, this is a matter of public record, of 2001 and said, we just finished an audit. We are missing trillions of dollars. And the very next day, 9/11 happened, and we never talked about it again. Now they have failed 8 audits in a row, and it is time that the American people understand what is going on with the Pentagon's budget. So I just got to say, for all of you that want to write the comments and say, oh, but what about this and that? We can't have everything and give everything and be everything and cut at the same time. There are no sacred cows. No offense to your jacket, but no more sacred cows. Let us fix the problem, because if everyone's going to come with their handout saying, let's cut, but here's my handout's preserved, right? Get out of here with your handouts and whatever.
I agree.
We have to save this country and save this budget. We don't have any business having a budget over $7 trillion. Not ever, not ever, not ever.
Especially when we're not seeing any real huge gains in population to justify all this new spending. I mean, it's like we just
wartime level, pandemic level spending every year.
I agree.
Who is paying for this? Where are the jobs?
You and I.
Money is not worthless if we keep printing it like water.
We're getting ripped off. We're getting ripped off. We're spending $5 of taxpayers' money to buy $1 worth of GDP, and it's not working out. All right, that was awesome. That's exactly where I wanted to go with. Thank you very much, Rebecca. Rebecca Walser.